McCormick knows unbeatable flavor starts with the right spices. It's why we created Flavor Sealed. So anytime you peel back the seal of McCormick herbs and spices, you can be confident they will pack the same amount of flavor as the day they were packed. The kind of flavor that brings out the best of your favorite recipes and keeps everyone coming back for seconds, or maybe even thirds. McCormick, Flavor Sealed for unbeatable flavor.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard, and we are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Very busy 3-hour action-packed program today. Great guests, including Jonathan Von Tobel on the NBA Finals coming up in about 30 minutes. We'll talk some Survivor Sweat, NFL contests out here in Las Vegas with James Sullivan coming up in about an hour. The creator of Survivor Sweat, Lou Finocchiaro, very strong. What did you tell me before the show? UFC coming up in 90 minutes with Lou.
He's got to bet the farm pick.
And he never says that.
I've never heard that in 6 years.
And Jeff Sherman on the program as well. More on the NBA Finals with him. Paulie will do a recap of the Stanley Cup Final. Game 2 numbers, Major League Baseball. Horrible beat earlier today. We'll keep you abreast of on. And games in action as of right now. The news is official. Big news, I guess, in the National Football League within the last hour or thereabouts. And that is Aaron Rodgers has signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen Friday. Yep. 70 days. 70 days after he first visited the Steelers. He's going to do it, and the NFL knew what was going to happen. Steelers, Jets, week 1.
They said personal issues. The Steelers got it. They understood it. They let him work them out. And hence, I guess they're over with now with Rodgers. No more personal issues with him ever again moving forward. And he's going to be the quarterback for that team. They did open up a 2.5-point favorite the night of the NFL schedule was released at the Jets. That's their week 1 opponent. That's now 3 pretty much across the board. And after that, the schedule looks like this. They play Seattle. They have 4 games, and then they get their bye week. That, to me, is something that I've always hated. If I'm like a fan of a team or, if I'm betting a team, I'm like, oh, my God, the back end of the schedule has to be super team-friendly for them to navigate that many weeks in a row without a bye week. But it goes at the Jets, Seahawks at home, at the Patriots, who a lot of people are super high on this year, hence their win total. And then Minnesota. And that's the game over in Ireland.
Yeah, it's doable, no doubt. I'd rather have Cousins. It's great for the league. It's a big-time franchise organization that gets a name player. He had a bad season. He only played well in a couple games. He was great in his final game against the Jets when they beat Miami. But for him to play like that, and they had a ton of weapons, it was a big disappointment. He put up some numbers in a couple games. The game against Jacksonville and what Adams did, and then once they got Adams, Wilson kind of disappeared, and that friendship was over. But Pittsburgh's got weapons, great defense, and we'll see if he's an upgrade, because Cousins was out there, number 1. Also, is he an upgrade over the Fields-Wilson combo that they had, too? So, at 41 years old, I don't know. But you trust Tomlin, who was in his corner. You trust their defense and the fact that they always have a winning record. We'll see what he has left in the tank, but I've been saying for a couple weeks now I'd rather have Cousins, and that's the other thing about what happens with Cousins in Atlanta. But this musical game of chairs, you're running out of chairs here and running out of teams.
Yeah, I think their ceiling overall is 9. I mean, if they get the absolute best breaks in the world, things go their way, they can maybe win 10 games, and they're a fringe playoff team. I lean on them not making it this year, and I would probably look at them going to the under. It's never happened with Tomlin, as you all know at this point.
Brutal division, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to guess better than last year because of the Bengals will be better. Browns, you have no idea, but it's not like they were any great, shakes last year anyway.
But they give the Ravens problems, and that's usually close, and they find a way to win one of those games, right? So
they get the NFC North.
Uh-huh.
That's the other division that they play this year, and that's the best division in football. So that means they get the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears. We talked about that week 4, and they're not better than the Vikings. If both teams are fully healthy, the Vikings have to be favored in that game. And I know their win total is 8.5, same with the Steelers. The Vikings are a better football team overall, top to bottom with the roster than Pittsburgh. Does it mean they're going to win the game? No. Who knows how McCarthy's going to play? My guess is damn good. With that guy as the head coach as KOC, but I'm not rushing. Put it this way. When I kind of yawned. I'm like, okay, finally we got the news. I did not make a single bet on this team. I'm only going to look to fade them. I'm not betting them to make the playoffs, win the division, over their win total. Any positive bets, no thank you. You can have it.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with taking a wait-and-see approach, too. He might be cooked. He was bad last year. So maybe it's more of just manage the game and use those weapons and don't turn it over. But there was a lot of good and there was a lot of bad, but then some good for him and how he played, and a major disappointment. And they remember they were favored in all these games. Their horrible ATS record. So still, even go back to that Thursday night game. They played Houston and they were favored, and people couldn't believe it.
All right, so we get game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight. More steam on Oklahoma City, Paulie. They are up at some books to a 10-point favorite as we speak. The first half number is 6. And I did some digging today because, why is it? Now, I get it. I went into this thinking to myself, okay, so Oklahoma City has historically good numbers on their side. So they're going to be power rated with the likes of, the 2017-28 Golden State Warriors, last year's Boston team, maybe some similar teams as well. But is it just that they're so good, or is there some anti-Indiana stuff built in here as well?
There is. I know. I can't believe we're doing this. It's the third largest game won in 35 years, which OKC's an excellent team, and they're awesome at home. But a 10-point spread now, where most people think it's going to be over in 5. They had their issues on the road. I'm surprised. And what the series price is, and still after taking out a 64-win Cleveland team and getting past the Knicks, it's still, they're not that good, and OKC is, you saw the people saying the Knicks were the better team. So
I know.
Yep.
And they're still saying that the series price would not have been this high had the Knicks gone past the Pacers. Probably not, because that means they would have won and gotten past the Eastern Conference. And it's also a very public team, and it's a numbers game at that point where you're going to try to fight off a majority of people, and it's going to be Knicks money coming in because they, super happy to be here, and they're going to be betting with their hearts more than anything else. So,
yeah, and the 29-1 record is getting a lot of run, too.
It is.
What OKC did against the East. But how unexpected this is. If Indiana wins the title, number one, you're talking about huge future tickets that pay off, and also they'd be the first champion that wasn't a top 3 seed or defending champion as well. So it's rarefied air here for the Pacers, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'll give them the coaching edge. Absolutely, I'll give them the coaching edge with Carlisle. And it'll come down to the threes here and knocking them down. And we've talked about the corner threes as well. But the thing that concerns me, and I know concerns you, is Dortcher Chamber. And they have had Halliburton locked up in the last 4 meetings. He's done nothing. So if he can't get going, then it will be a short series.
So of all the lopsided series that played out in the last 25 years, the comp would be, in terms of a series price, if you go back to the year 2002, the Lakers were minus 750 to begin the series over New Jersey that year.
That's it?
Yeah. The year before that, they were minus 2,000 against the 76ers.
Yeah, they hadn't lost a game going into that than the Iverson game. Okay.
And I would say this Indiana team is better than that Sixers team because that was Iverson and nobody else.
No help, right.
Right? The 2002 Nets team, Jason Kidd, Kenyon...
Todd McCullough? Was he on that team?
He was.
Oh.
He averaged 9.7 points per game.
Oh.
Keith Van Horn, Kerry Kittles, Richard Jefferson. They had 4 players averaging double figures, and they all averaged around 14 points per game. That was not a good basketball team.
No.
This Indiana team, to me, clearly a better basketball team than New Jersey. Series price, pretty similar. Like I said, Lakers were minus 750. They swept them, and that was never a series, and I think a lot of people anticipated that. But that's, again, all you're hearing is that this is going to be a 5-game series. That's it. They're going to truck them. I don't know. Is this Oklahoma City team better than the Lakers in 2002 when it was Kobe and Shaq in their prime still pretty much. But that was also the Lakers, the most popular team in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And back then, Las Vegas was the only game in town for legal sports betting, and they could put up any number in the world. And we're only 3.5 hours away from LA, 45-minute flight. People would come here and pound the daylights out of it. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what they would put up.
Yeah.
So anytime that you have them, you're going to take,
Well, the other thing, too, is 2 times in the last 50 years. 2 times in the last 50 years in the finals, the winner, that's the 2 times it only happened higher than 2-1 odds with the series price. Yeah. So that it's just, this also would be historic and a big upset if they can do it. My comp is what Detroit did to the Lakers in 03-04. Same series price. 5-1 take back in that one.
That's
and
right.
That's when the odds makers made a mistake. Pistons beat them in 5 and should have swept them in that one. So I'll give them a shot. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but certainly everything we've been saying about OKC is true. If they're able to get this done and win 84 games, you're talking about the second most in history. And that point differential and this awesome defense, and you can also bring that up too. I mean, if the Pacers turn the ball over, good night.
You give them a shot tonight?
I do. I think it's too many points. Absolutely.
Let me give you
and
this.
I like this us against the world stuff, too. They're well aware of this. They also, I was told, use this as motivation about, hey, look at this. The Knicks are favored, and everyone's picking the Knicks to beat us, too.
Good. I wish more coaches and more teams would do that.
And they also did it with Cleveland. They couldn't believe that Cleveland was a $5 favorite.
I'll give you this. Dan Karpuk, VSiN.com, he's got a handful of props that he likes, and in his analysis and his breakdown of the game tonight, he wrote that if history suggests anything, it could be a one-sided affair, at least in Game 1. Over the last 20 years, dogs in the opener of the finals are 2-18 straight up and 3-17 ATS. That's 0-12 straight up and 1-11 ATS when catching 5 or more points. And like I said, this is now touching 10 at some books. They're favored by more than that many in the first half tonight. Like I said, it moved to 5.5, 6 now. And I have great numbers on that, including when a team is on like 7+ days of rest, which Oklahoma City is when they're at home in Game 1. I will share those with you coming up in about 5 minutes.
Yep. Want to bet smarter this football season? Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Get a full year, just $199, and free pre-order of the NFL Sharp Betting Playbook by Applebaum. No-nonsense guide to reading the market, spotting sharp action, and making smarter bets. Sign up now. Get the morning email from Bill 80, every best bet, every host, every guest. The betting splits from DK and Circa, the dog videos, and our NFL betting guide, which drops July 1st. Limited time offer. Get it now, VSiN.com/subscribe. Code BOOK. Code BOOK to sign up.
The 2017 Warriors were minus 1075 over Cleveland. They won 4-1. 2018, that Warriors team might have been better. They were minus $3. They swept them.
That's all that was?
That's all they were in that series.
Wow.
I can't believe that looking back. So I will give you those numbers. Wait until you hear this. A team off a long layoff. What happens in the first half? Details next on VSiN.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms. Offer valid on standard browsers. U.S. only.
When I heard about Date My Age, I thought, really? But there I was in my empty, quiet house, my laptop on the kitchen counter, and I typed in my name. Looking for a man between the ages of 40 to 60? Sure, why not?
Date My Age is different. With verified profiles, you can feel safe and secure to explore meaningful connections with interesting and mature singles.
Date My Age made it really easy. I could join and view online profiles for free. All of a sudden, my empty house wasn't so quiet anymore. I got so much attention, it just made me feel seen and alive. Date My Age helped me start a totally new chapter in my life.
Find a friend, a lover, a partner at Date My Age. Get 60% off when you join at datemyage.com today. That's datemyage.com to connect with thousands of singles worldwide. datemyage.com.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll get best bets on the series from VSiN host Jonathan Von Tobel coming up in about 15 minutes. I'm driving around. I'm listening to VSiN the other night. Scott Seinberg is on the air. By the way, tip of the cap to Scott because he's doing 3 and 4 hour shows on his own on a gambling network, and he's talking you through bets in real time as action is happening, and he's trying to make bets on his app or his laptop at the same exact time that he's talking. That's not easy to do.
That's tough.
That is, that's very difficult. He does a great job at it. I'm listening to Driving Around the other night, and he had some incredible numbers when you go back and look at trends that fit kind of these two teams. And here you go with those numbers. Going back as far as his database goes, home teams on a 7+ day rest, like the Thunder are tonight, they are 21-5 straight up, 19-7 ATS. The average line in those games, minus 8.3. First half outscoring by about 9 points per game. 9-point favorites in the NBA Finals are 7-0 straight up, 4-2-1 ATS, winning the first half by almost 8 points. And when I heard him talking about that, he was betting and gave out. That's why his best bet was the Thunder in the first half. It was 5 at the time. Forget about it. 5s are gone. And that, that's some pretty strong stuff right there. When, is it the rust? Is it the rest? What's going to help? Based on the numbers that he has anyway, going back several different instances, the rest has been a good thing for the team with home court, much like Oklahoma City is in tonight. So I looked into playing. You can also parlay some stuff. I looked at the playing. You can find plus money if you parlay like the Thunder first quarter money line along with the second quarter or the halftime spread.
I would also get involved in player props, and you saw what happened last night in the hockey game. A ton of same-game parlays cashed. A lot of shots on goal. Most guys went over, except Kane. More on that coming up. But you had all the big-time players getting shots and points and goals. And with this, look at the total. You got a 230 total, and if you think all these guys are going to score and it's going to be up and down and crazy pace, I think same-game parlays are where it's at, too. And you can ladder stuff as well. I think this could be a wild game one and a wild series from that standpoint. It's 30, 20-point games, a ton of rebounds, and threes as well. Because it's the number 2 offense against the number 1 defense. But again, as we've talked about, playoffs, possessions per game. OKC number 2, Indiana number 3. So you know what Halliburton says and how they're at their best. Push it, go up and down, and OKC might run with them as well.
Yeah.
And OKC's had some slow starts in these home games, though, too. I mean, go back to game 1 against Minnesota. Right? Minnesota should have been a big in that game.
Agreed.
And they eventually ran them out in the third quarter. So we'll see here. Got a lot of confidence in Carlisle, and we'll see if the threes are falling for the Pacers.
Yeah, more here from VSiN.com and Steve Makinen on game 1. So when you go back and look again, with the opening lines, home teams being favored overall, his numbers go back, if you include 2020 in the pandemic with those games in Orlando, the home teams are 10-1 straight up. And the average margin of victory in the 9 ATS wins are 13.9 points per game. The only loss, 2022, in Boston's upset when they won that game 1 at Golden State. And Golden State eventually came back to win, which was a pretty good series overall. But here's what I did tonight based on some of this stuff. I bet, because I think there's an angle here, and JVT can expand on this coming up in about 10 minutes. I did it's kind of a correlated parlay here. I did Chet Holmgren to have a double-double because maybe there's not a path for Hartenstein to play a ton of minutes in this series, and Chet could be the major guy. Indiana's not a good rebounding team. Chet can gobble up a ton of them, and I think he's also going to score a lot in this series. I did a Chet double-double along with Oklahoma City just to win the game. I put it on the website. I think it's plus 154.
Not bad. At DraftKings, he's $1.50 to score 10 points in every game in the series.
I think that's going to happen.
Good. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Turner. Maybe it could be Toppin. We'll see what happens with that. I would think Toppin will get a lot of run. Carlisle likes him as well. 40% from three in the playoffs, number one in the playoffs. OKC only shoots 33% from three, and then you got the corner threes as well. Second most corner threes allowed. There's the weakness right there, as they pack the paint and protect the rim. That's where Indiana, I said it earlier, I wonder what David Thorpe thinks, but I would shoot 40, 50 threes a game if I'm Indiana here and I'm Carlisle.
Let me expand on that. Again, Dan Carpuck, VSiN.com. I highly encourage everybody to go and read what's up there, previewing these big games. It's awesome stuff. He's betting Ben Shepherd over a half a made three tonight, tying into what you just said.
Yeah.
So the official number here is Oklahoma City allowing 12.4 corner three attempts per game in the playoffs. Opponents are only hitting 31% of those, which you figure if you're open, that's going to go up at some point. But as he points out, the volume is the key here. Indy is shooting 47% on corner threes. Shepherd averages 1.2 corner three attempts per game so far in the playoffs. He averaged 3 corner three attempts per game in the 2 regular season games against Oklahoma City. In those games, he went 1 for 2 and 2 for 6. So if they're taking a lot of corner threes and Oklahoma City allows the second most in the playoffs, you figure that's going to be there again tonight. This guy, all he has to do is hit one. Right? We talked about his possible spot against Minnesota in the previous round. It never came in that day that we talked about him. But tonight, maybe another way to attack him like that.
And Nebhard, Turner, Nesmith, Siakam, all they have to do is hit 2. From 3 in the playoffs, Nesmith, 50%. Nembhard, 48%. Siakam, 46%. Turner, 40%. I keep hearing it's not going to continue. They can't, they're in the finals. Mm-hmm. They keep doing it. And they're pros. So if they're getting open looks, they're going in. And they were phenomenal in Game 6 against the Knicks as well. So that's another way to attack it. A lot of those are plus money tonight, over 1.5 made threes. That's how you're going to have to beat them. But again, if they're sloppy with the ball and turn it over, they're going to get run out. And that's
turnovers are going to. We saw that with Minnesota, right?
Yep, and that's got to take care of the ball, and I think they will. But it is cause for concern with how bad Halliburton has played against these guys the last couple years.
Agreed. And by the way, I totally concur with what you just said. If Oklahoma City was going to contest all of these threes, then you would expect some negative regression from Indiana's outside shooting.
Minnesota got great looks.
I know they did.
Great looks. Look at the 2 road games.
Paul, to begin the series, again, and I was trying to point out, like, those threes were halfway down and they came out.
Yeah.
Like in Game 1, if those go down, if they stay down, they win Game 1 probably.
Yes.
And then who knows what happens with the series. But if Oklahoma City allowed, like, the fewest amount of open threes per game by any team in the entire league, regular season and the playoffs, then I would tell you that the Pacers shooting will not continue. But because Oklahoma City allows, I'm actually going to be a little bit surprised. Why can't this be the MO of a team? They're a good shooting team. If they got the looks, what did we say this about Golden State in their prime?
Yeah.
When they had Curry and Thompson and Durant? No, if they keep getting open shots, you would expect them to go in. Well, this team clearly has multiple guys who can knock down threes. Now, to the clip of what they've been doing, maybe it won't be like 47% in some of these angles. Maybe that comes down to 38, 40. Yeah. That's still better than what Oklahoma City's been allowing.
And there were comments from Minnesota after how they were surprised by the length and how they can't contest shots and how they play defense. That you could be in for a shock tonight, too. That also could happen.
Yep.
Because it's one thing to just, practice and watch Hillman prepare for it, but it's another thing to go up against it. And they were housed in one of the games in the regular season. So sometimes, Minnesota, there were some good comments after Game 1, too. But then again, there's a big difference between some of these Indiana players and like an Alexander Walker or some of the bench players who were doing it, or in this case, not doing it for Minnesota.
Right. More on the NBA Finals with Jonathan Von Tobel coming up in about 10 minutes right here in the program. He's got a bunch of best bets to give out for that. These bullpens in Major League Baseball. Perfect example earlier today. Atlanta led Arizona 10-4 going to the 9th. Our producer, Luke, was watching the game, and he was watching the live betting. The biggest number that he saw in the Diamondbacks was 30-1 during the game. What do you think happened?
Yeah, I thought it'd be higher.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
Of course they came back to win. 11-10 final score. Look at what happened here. Are we talking, is the steam on the wrong player on Kansas City to win American League Rookie of the Year with Caglione?
Yes.
Noah Cameron did it again today.
Only guy, Fernando, the only other guy to do it. 5 straight starts to start his career, 6 innings, 1 earned run or fewer. And he had a shutout through 6, and they lifted him.
And so what happened? As soon as they took him out of the game, the bullpen comes in, they implode. And now the Cardinals bullpen imploded So it was 3-0 Royals, then 4-3 Cardinals. Now it's 5-4 Royals, and they're bigger than a $3 favorite as they play in extra innings. Blue Jays are all over the Phillies 8-0, and the A's on top of the Twins 7-0.
They're going to win a game. Damn, they've lost 20 of 21.
Well, so here's the thing. It's only in the 4th inning.
Yeah.
You can grab plus 5.5 runs right now, plus money with the Twins. They're going to score. They're scoring runs against this A's pitching at some point. That to me would be worth a look.
All right. KC just took the lead. Final jewel, the Triple Crowns here. Belmont Stakes. No better time to bet the races than right now with First Bet. New users get a $200 sign-up bonus. Use the promo code VSiN200. Whether you're a seasoned horse player or brand new to the sport, First Bet has all the tools to elevate your game. Download the app. Go to firstbet.com/VSiN to sign up today. Firstbet.com/VSiN, code VSiN200, and get that $200 bonus.
All right, VSiN host Jonathan Von Tobel on the program coming up next. He will dive into his best bets for the NBA Finals. He has a strong opinion on the series, and he's fading Tyrese Halliburton for most assists as well. Find out how he's doing that next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Game 1 tonight, NBA Finals. Thunder, massive favorites, touching 10 at some books over the Indiana Pacers. And VSiN host Jonathan Von Tobel joins the program now. Loves the NBA, loves betting this sport. Does a great job with Stormy Bonatoni on Money Moves, weekdays at noon right here on VSiN, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. JVT, thanks for the time. I read your brilliant write-up on the series, and my takeaway was this. You absolutely think the Pacers stink out loud, huh?
Yes,
no.
They're frauds. They don't belong here. They absolutely should not have won the Eastern Conference. No, look, I mean, I think my love for the Oklahoma City Thunder shines through a little bit more in my written work than it does my hate for the Indiana Pacers that some have claimed that I have. But, I mean, how can you not be attracted to this Thunder team? They're incredible. Every single thing that you look at with them is great. So I told Stormy this today. I hope I'm kind of wrong, because I do think that this is a series in which they can kind of ragdoll them a bit and end this pretty quickly. But part of me does hope I'm wrong, that we get a really fun and good and competitive series for the most part. I don't need the Thunder to cover every game. I just need them to win 4 out of the 5. So if that's what happens, we get 5 tight ones, I'm happy with it.
Okay, so then how did you bet it then? What numbers did you find appealing enough to make a bet on?
Yeah, so I think for the series itself, the two that I came around on the most were the exact results. So essentially, it's how you think each game is going to go. So there was 2 of them, betting the Thunder to win the first 3 games, then the Pacers to win Game 4, and then the Thunder to win Game 5, and then the other version, which is Thunder to win Games 1 and 2, Pacers to win Game 3, and then Thunder to win Game 4 and Game 5. So essentially, having the exact results in 5, you're getting like 7-1 on one, you're getting nearly 9-1 on the other. I think that's probably the best way to go and attack this if you're like me and everybody else in America, which believes that this is going to be a 5-game series. You can also throw a little bit on, Pacers, the exact result, which is just 5 games at plus 230. But I think that we should, first off, give Indiana some respect here. They're a very good team. Their offense is very good. They've been a very good home team. And Oklahoma City has not been a good road team in this postseason. Mm-hmm. They're just 4-3 straight up. They haven't covered a road game so far in this postseason. They've been outscored by 6.2 points per 100 possessions in non-garbage time. So I think it would be foolish of me to just assume that they're going to come in and rip off 4 straight wins when they have looked as uneven as they have away from home. So I think asking them to maybe still one of these games, because, again, they have won games on the road. They just haven't covered those ones. I think it's a fine ask. So I think 5 is a safe number if you want to just go plus 230 or play those exact results at like 7 and 8-1. I think those are fine things to play as well.
Yeah, and by the way, those that's the result, right, for the last 2 finals, the way they played out. Because Denver beat Miami 4-1, and also last year Boston beat Dallas 4-1 as well.
It'd be more intriguing and better, I think, if they went back to the 2-3-2 format. Don't you?
They should do that for hockey probably too.
Yeah.
So.
Because the home team's likely to win down 3-1, and at least force that Game 6 and what would happen. Mm-hmm. How big of a factor can Chet be, and how creative did you get with Chet props?
So I think Chet can be pretty good here. There's a couple of reasons why. The first of which is, look, just their numbers with Holmgren on the floor have been way better. When he's the lone center in this postseason, they've outscored opponents by 21.7 points per 100 possessions, Paul. Their offensive rating's well over 120. And I think he gets a favorable matchup against Turner. When you look at the way that Turner defends, he's a little slow to get out on perimeter shooters. He is, I think, a little slow in terms of trying to guard guys who are going to try to blow by him, which I think Chet can do from time to time. I think it's a matchup that really serves Holmgren pretty well here. So I piggybacked our guy Zach Cohen on one of the plays. You can get him to average 20-plus points per game at 5-1 for the series. That was over at MGM. And then I took a little bit of a wild swing and took him to lead the series in points at 150-1, just to have a long shot there. But look, if this is a short series like we think it could be, if I get one blow-up game from Chet, maybe this is something where I'm right about that matchup being exploited, and he can steal that title, at least in terms of most points, from Shea over the course of this series, especially if it's a lopsided one at that. But I think asking him to average 20 or more points per game in this series against Turner, who has not been particularly great, especially when contesting guys like him, I think that is going to be a matchup that he thrives in. And I think we'll get into this too, I just don't think it's a series, Paul, where Hartenstein's going to have a very big role. Okay. And I think that Holmgren's going to eat a ton of minutes at center and solo center minutes, and I think that really helps him thrive offensively.
Okay. Then what do you think Carlisle does then? How does he attack this, and knowing that he had a quick hook on Turner in some of the games?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part about this, because Carlisle's been great in terms of the levers that he can pull and do everything that he can. This is really going to just be about, I think at least, limiting turnovers and limiting the opportunities for this Thunder team, because that's been the big thing that the Pacers have done well. It's also been the thing that the Thunder have done really well. Forcing turnovers, getting out and running, getting those easy buckets. If you guys remember the tail end of that Denver series, that was a series in which they had outscored Denver, I think, by over 30 points in points off turnovers in both of those last few games, or somewhere in that line. Like, they were brilliant in that regard. And I know that sounds simple in terms of adjustments and attacking, but that's got to be a very big one in terms of going after them. And I also think, like, Caitlin Cooper did a really good job of breaking this series down with Zach Lowe on his podcast. I think it's a big Siakam series. I think the way that they use Siakam quite a bit, especially with that high-low game with Turner and with Siakam, I think it's a series in which Siakam can really thrive against a somewhat smaller OKC team, and it's going to allow him to score at a high will. So, like, you have a player prop out there over 19.5 points for the series per game for Pascal Siakam, minus 115 to the over. I played that. You can lay $170 to him to have more points in the series than Tyrese Halliburton. I think Siakam is going to be a very big weapon for Indiana throughout this series, and I think that's the way that Carlisle is going to go. I think they're leaning on him offensively in a really big way.
Let's follow the money. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, VSiN host Jonathan Von Tobel. He's on the Progressive Guest Line as we continue talking about the NBA Finals. Game 1 begins tonight. And the Thunder are a huge favorite in this game, 9.5, 10 points, depending on the book that you're shopping at. So always look around. It has not gone well for Halliburton in recent matchups against his Oklahoma City defense. They can throw a plethora of guys at him and just make life a living hell. So based on that, how are you fading him with the most assists overall in the series?
So this was initially a good read because it seems like the market really agrees with me here. But DraftKings and other spots, DraftKings had him priced, Mitch, at minus 900 to lead the series in assists at one point. That has greatly dropped now. But I just thought that they were mispricing Halliburton in that market. The assist opportunities, I believe, are not going to be here as plentiful in some of these other series. And if you look at, for example, the previous three opponents in this postseason for Oklahoma City, obviously the Grizzlies, Nuggets, and Timberwolves, they saw their assist-to-pass rate drop dramatically in their respective series. Denver went from 10.9%, so essentially the percentage of passes that lead to an assist, 10.9% in the regular season to just 7.4% in the conference semifinals. You saw Memphis go from 10.3% in the regular season to 7.3% in the first round. This is a team in Oklahoma City that is able to stay home, that is going to feel comfortable, that I think is going to limit the opportunities for Tyrese Halliburton to drive and kick to open shooters, not just the kick to open shooters part, but the drives as well. Guys, how many times were we talking about that Timberwolves series where Anthony Edwards was coming off of a game in which his average shot was about 20 feet or longer because he could not get in the paint? How much did we talk about Denver in that series where they all of a sudden became a perimeter-oriented jump shooting team because Oklahoma City cut off the paint? I don't think those opportunities are really going to be there for Tyrese Halliburton. I think he is forced to revert to a little bit more of a scorer than he is a assister. So I went with Shea to lead the series in assists at 5-1. I really like that one a lot. And then I put a long shot in on Jalen Williams as well to lead the series in assists at 66-1. I just thought those prices were off. The probability of them leading this series in assists was much higher than what the market was initially indicating. And we've seen some pretty severe drops over the last 12 hours. But I still think Shea in the range of 3-1 to lead the series in assists is worth playing.
Are you attacking any of the others for, one of these two teams at all, maybe starting tonight? Are you because you love Cason Wallace. I think you tweeted out recently.
Yep.
He might be the second best player on their team. I couldn't tell if that was sarcasm or not. I love the guy. He's very good. Mm-hmm. Are you looking at Caruso? Are you looking at maybe playing Mathurin? Anybody else that I might be leaving off that list?
No, so you're right. Like, I think Cason Wallace is going to have a really big series. I think he's very much worth working again. Points, rebounds, and assists over. I've been playing him almost every single time in this postseason. I think I've texted you about it in playing him over these points, rebounds, and assists. As long as they're in that range, and you can tell me exactly what it is right now if you have it in front of you.
I think it was 12 and a half
in that
earlier.
13 Yeah, see, I think that's still too low. I think he's still getting priced as like a fringe bench guy where over the last 4 or 5 games of the postseason, he's been getting like 30 minutes a game. I think he's a regular part of the rotation. This isn't a team either in Oklahoma City that is going to force you to play big. You're going to feel comfortable playing all your small guys that you really trust. Wallace is a dude they're starting to trust more. I think he's still getting priced too low on those points, rebounds, and assists. He can do it all. He's very much worth riding there. And not to the point of following or riding these dudes, but to kind of build on what we've talked about here, I don't think Isaiah Hartenstein has a place in this series. I think when you look at the numbers, when him and Holmgren are on the floor together, their offense greatly suffers. They only outscore opponents in the playoffs by 1.2 points per 100 possessions when you play your two bigs on the floor, as opposed to when Holmgren's out there and you completely annihilate every single one of your opponents. And guys, this is not a series in which you're forced to play big, right? The last 2 opponents for OKC were big teams. It was Denver, it was Minnesota. You were forced to kind of roll with your double big lineup. You don't have to do that here. Turner averages less than 5 rebounds a game, right? He's not a low post threat. You're going to be able to get away with just playing Holmgren by himself. So under on points and rebounds game to game. I was looking for some series-long props for Hartenstein. I really couldn't find any. But under points and rebounds for Isaiah Hartenstein game to game until we see a legitimate adjustment in the market, I think is very much worth following.
Strong analysis as always. You can follow JVT on X. He is at MeJVT and catch him every single day at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific right here on VSiN with Money Moves and Stormy Buonantony. Thanks, pal. Good luck tonight.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you in Omaha.
You got it.
Catch you on the Progressive guest line there. Yep, there you go. Told you. The hatred just oozing through the speakers right now for the Indiana Pacers by Jonathan Von Tobel.
Public's all over the Pacers tonight at several books. I think it's great. And also to win the series.
Win some, lose some up next. A lot of action in Game 1 Stanley Cup Final last night. Paulie recaps the betting numbers and explains how the Panthers were 31-0 over the last 3 years.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms. Offer valid on standard browsers. U.S. only.
When I heard about Date My Age, I thought, really? But there I was in my empty, quiet house, my laptop on the kitchen counter, and I typed in my name. Looking for a man between the ages of 40 to 60? Sure, why not?
Date My Age is different. With verified profiles, you can feel safe and secure to explore meaningful connections with interesting and mature singles.
Date My Age made it really easy. I could join and view online profiles for free. All of a sudden, my empty house wasn't so quiet anymore. I got so much attention, it just made me feel seen and alive. Date My Age helped me start a totally new chapter in my life.
Find a friend, a lover, a partner at Date My Age. Get 60% off when you join at datemyage.com today. That's datemyage.com to connect with thousands of singles worldwide. datemyage.com.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by The Sharp Plays. Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Finally, we got a great game in the NHL. Phenomenal game one. Draisaitl, first goal, 8-1. Draisaitl, last goal, 8-1. To score in overtime, 30-1. 2 goals, 7-1. Overtime, 3-1. Edmonton to come from behind and win, plus 260. In play, they were 3-1. Ekholm to score, plus 750. Arvidsson, plus 450. Bennett, 2 goals, 25-1. Exact score in overtime, 14-1. 7 of the last meetings have gone over. And I mentioned how a lot of the same game parlays cash, or you could have hit them. Someone at Caesars hit one on a profit boost same game parlay. $100 paid $9,400. Edmonton in the over. Draisaitl scores. Shots on goal over. McDavid shots on goal over. And Bennett scores. Incredible. Good job. D-backs plus 150. Twins 135 up to 165. Diamondbacks earlier today 30-1 in play. Down 10-4 in the ninth. Came back to beat the Braves. And Mike Somich hit the pick 5 at Saratoga yesterday. $6,200. Good hit. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos at Paulie Does Vegas. Send them in, we'll put you on. How the heck did the dog get on top of the fridge? And then at some point, put the phone down and help him out. I mean, he's up there, he's excited. Got the fridge open, hanging out.
Got freezer.
The freezer's open now, too. Yeah, right. And I can't get a good okay. Somehow he got up on the counter and then kept going. And that's incredible. Guy's excited. Both doors open.
Oh, tail's going 1,000 miles an hour.
Stuff on the ground, yeah. That's great. Very good. Excellent. How about the playground? Yeah, this guy riding a piece of cake on the horsey, right? See, the kids do this usually outside the grocery store. He jumps in, put a quarter in there, right? No problem. Piece of cake. He's entertained for hours.
Okay. Why does it look like he's tugging on the actual toy or the machine? Is there somebody pushing it? Is there a hand in the right corner there by the mouth of that, whatever that is, that animal? Gotta be, right? Pushing it back and forth?
I think he's got it.
And they're off camera? No, that's somebody pushing it, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Shenanigans?
Yeah. It looks, come on, look at that.
Yeah.
It looks like he's responsible for going back and forth on it.
Very good. Yep. They're up 7-1 right now, but the A's have lost 20 of 21 after getting hammered last night and this horrendous pitching staff. Here's what Mitch was talking about. Thanks to Jonathan Davis. They had this on ESPN. The Panthers were 31-0 the last 3 years in the playoffs, leading after the first or second period. Leading after the first period, 3 years ago, 6-0, then 7-0, and last year 7-0. Leading after the second period, 9-0, 10-0, 10-0. Incredible what Edmonton did.
Well, that's who they are, right?
Yeah, and then also they didn't give up anything. Shots on goal, but from like late second period on. And what happened? There was a little push there by Florida in the first 5 minutes of overtime, but what a job, and that Knobloch can make some adjustments, man.
Clearly, and I thought the last goal in overtime, by the way, to score like that, it was a thing of beauty again.
Yeah.
The way the puck was moving and just the precision, the accuracy, McDavid to Draisaitl, it's a thing of beauty, man.
Yep. Here's a loose some, our buddy Frank B. Frank, where you been? It's been too long. At Ties Win on X. Come on in, Frank. But Frank had an encounter. He got the signal to exit the water today due to the Croc sighting in Puerto Vallarta. They snagged him. He makes his way through the ocean via the rivers. They wrap him up like Hannibal Lecter to transport. No fava beans or Chianti were found on him. It's just, imagine you see this guy.
No,
Get out of the water.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Big fella, too. I also retweeted Frank when you had Roto the Pelican and how Oscar feeds him every day, the broken down Pelican, which is excellent. I hope we don't encounter this on Wednesday when we go to Omaha. Imagine just sitting next to this guy on the plane. Oh, my God. Sitting down, he's got the tray up and the feet on the tray as he's sleeping, and he's taken up a couple seats. Maybe he had the whole row to himself. Who knows? But that is, that's incredible. The shoes on? Sandals? What's he got?
Socks, I think.
I think you're right. Just socks. The shoes are off. On the tray. Oh, man.
Tank top on. That's great look.
Tough. Bad beats. I had this at Will Hill. Same game parlay. Shots on goal, 42-1. Kane had 2. It was 2.5. I got overtime. Still couldn't. There's only a guy who couldn't do it. 7 guys.
6 of them got there.
Yes. I needed
a lot
Kane.
of shots last night.
I know. Needed Kane. How about your buddy? You got a story about your friend?
Oh, he bet Panthers, and he was at the party last night in Sunrise.
Yeah.
He had Panther shots on goal over 26.5. They had 24 at the end of the second period. 24.
Wow.
They only had 2 going to overtime. They added 2 more in the third period. That was it. Edmonton totally shut them down, allowed nothing. But they were also, they changed their philosophy playing in the third period, Florida did. And he was definitely afraid that Edmonton was going to get one early. Bam, he loses that bet.
That's wild.
Jonathan Davis, by the way, had numbers on that as well. Edmonton has given up nothing at all for a long time in the third period of these games.
Yeah, excellent. Padres yesterday, bad beat. They led 5-1 in the 6th. Giants, 16 games in a row, 4 runs or fewer, and they explode on you? How'd that happen? Atlanta, as I mentioned, $1.60, 10-4 in the 9th. Whiskey and Revolver, they blow it. And the under in game 1 of a doubleheader just finished up. It was 3-0 Royals in the 7th. They pull Cameron. 6-5 St. Louis in 10. Ridiculous. Jeff from Sharp Place is on tomorrow. He'll be blown away by the in-play and the handle with tennis betting. He'll also have some great stories to share all his years in this racket. He'll give away a free subscription as well. And before the line moves, Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com already there. They don't chase the market, they move it. You're not going to outmuscle billion-dollar books or full-time pro bettors on your own. With the Sharp Plays, you don't have to. Powered by cutting-edge AI. Trusted insider sources for 14 years. The Sharp Plays delivers the edge that serious bettors rely on. Free betting reports, real-time alerts, market-moving insights delivered right to you via email or X. And it's not an overnight startup. Documented track record since 2011. Receipts, logs, results right there on the site. SharpPlays.com, trusted by pros, watched by the books. Check them out. Listen to them tomorrow. SharpPlays.com.
I'm going to throw some numbers at you after game 1 last night. To win the Conn Smythe.
Yep.
Connor McDavid went from plus 110 or even money to minus 150 now or minus 175.
I added more on Bennett. How was Bennett 20-1? He has the most goals in the playoffs. 2 goals last night. Now, they got to win the series.
Of course.
But I think Bennett has a better chance now than Bob.
I'm betting Bennett today, 20-1. I can't believe that number's still out there.
Yep.
And also, hold on. As you just ran it down, Draisaitl, first goal right away in the game to set the tone, comes back, wins it in overtime, 2 and the game winner. He's still plus 450?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that if Edmonton wins it and Draisaitl was favored to have the most goals in the series, and if he does that as well, and he has more points than McDavid, which he's on pace to do, right? They're neck and neck, right? If he does that and leads the series in goals and Edmonton wins, McDavid's minus 150 or minus 175 today? Just is it protection that they don't want any more money on him?
That could be. He's got a case. Damn right.
He's got an unbelievable case right now.
Yeah.
And I could not agree more. Bennett's got to be the guy for the Panthers if they win the series.
Yeah. Great start. Trash call, by the way. I don't know if you guys know this. I played the position. That's 100% goalie interference. And then they lose the challenge, and then the power play goal happens. The only guy who was on it was Lundqvist. He was great at the end of the first period. Lundqvist was the former goalie. Sure. He knows. That's a total acting job. By the same guy who elbowed Stolarz in the head and knocked him out of the series, the guy's Bobby De Niro with that Oscar-winning performance. He was hit outside the crease. He falls and lands into Skinner in the crease. He was barely touched. That's asinine. That should have been no goal. And that's another reason why Edmonton was so good. You take that out, and then they win the game going away. That's one goal there, and then the power play goal right after that. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I mean, saw the same thing happen in the Vegas-Edmonton series. What happened? That's 100% goalie interference there. Terrible job.
All right, some updated numbers in Major League Baseball with the day card going on now. A's over the Twins, 11-1. That total was 12.5 when I mentioned the Twins plus 5.5 earlier. That's now on 12. The total now is 16.5. You can get over plus money on that. That's in the 5th inning. 16.5 might still be a good bet to go over. They need 5 more runs, and the Mets have taken a 3-0 lead against Knick-Knack Paddywhack. Somebody's going to have to throw him a bone pretty soon because it's going to get ugly here. Oh. Mets are $7 right now to win the game outright. Total is 11.5.
They got them loaded, yeah.
This is
with one out.
I was going to joke around and say this is a message being sent by the Mets, but the Dodgers will not win the World Series if they can't get healthy with their pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give them time. They'll get them back at some point, but then, are they going to be healthy for the remainder of the year, or do these guys keep getting hurt? What is going on in L.A. with their organization, and why can guys not stay healthy? It's year after year with this.
Yep. How about what's going on in Philadelphia?
Ooh.
How they can't pit. Luzardo roughed up again, and Toronto's playing good ball. 8-1 in the 6th?
Yeah, that's back-to-back. Usually you want to back a guy unless an injury is coming.
Right.
Luzardo gave up 12 earned runs in his last start to the Brewers today. He comes back and he gives up 8 earned to Toronto. And you're right. Toronto's been blazing hot with the bats lately.
Mm-hmm.
But his ERA is now almost 4.5 on the year because of his last 2 starts.
Well, it's ridiculous what they did the last time out. They left him in. He gave up 12 runs.
Football contest. James Sullivan from Survivor Sweat coming up next. What does he think the overall pot will grow to this year for the original Circa Survivor? 20 million? More? We'll ask him next.